Now, before I begin, let me ask all of you a question. So, how many here, all of y'all, do y'all have private vehicles at home? Raise your hands. Okay, that's everybody. Okay. So, all of us have private vehicles at home, and now let's think about the number of times we use these vehicles per day. Okay. So, maybe to go to office and come back, or to go running to the vegetable market when your wife is screaming and come back, and so on. Probably you'll use it twice a day. Now, all of us know that using these vehicles have a lot of fuel, has a lot of bad effects to the environment, so on and so forth. But what if I tell you this thing? What if I tell you that every minute you are driving your vehicle, you are changing the Indian economy? Every second you are sitting there, taking your car, your wife is screaming at you, and you're like, okay, I'm going. That every second counts to make an impact on the Indian economy. And I am going to tell you how today. Now, before I begin talking about the Indian economy, let me give you a brief preview. So, what's been happening? Since 2004, India was known to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world. In fact, from 2004, the average rate of GDP of India was 9%, even more. And that's amazing. But in the recent years, GDP fell to 6.5%. So what is this trying to tell us? This is trying to tell to us that our economy is continuously deteriorating. It is falling. Now let me ask, what is India's current economic state? According to the India International Monetary Fund, the economy of India is 7th largest in the world by nominal GDP and 3rd largest by purchasing power parity. But hold on, wait. All of this, let's not talk about these statistics. Instead, let's ask, do these statistics show to us the truth? If we really want to analyze the Indian economic market, what we really should know is how much of loan a government has in relation to its economy. And let me tell you all this. Our Indian government, especially the central government and a few state governments, is really poor when it comes to managing its budget. That is a fact. So why is that so? Why am I saying this? Well, it is because India's government debt is 60% of its GDP. So what is this thing GDP that I'm continuously talking about? GDP, it's known as gross domestic product. I'll put it very simply for all of you here. You can consider it to be a measure of the country's productivity or income. In even more simpler terms, GDP is the total income of everybody in a country. So what does this statement right here tell to us? It says to us that the Indian government has a loan that is 60% of every man's salary in India every year. Also, let me tell you another thing. For every 5 rupees that the Indian government earns, it goes on to spend 12 rupees, which says to us that our economy is really in a precarious condition. So, now that we know what has been happening, I'm sure all of you all must have thought, why has this been happening? Why is our economy falling? Why is this happening to us? The reasons are quite simple, and I'm sure all of you all know these reasons here. But let's face it today. The reasons are simple. Poor infrastructure, low growth in agriculture, low industrial productivity, and so on and so forth. Other reasons are corruption and debt. Now, we know everything. We know what's been happening. We know why is it happening. But have you all ever thought, what could you all do? What could we do? How could we make a difference? All of us tend to think that anything related to the economy, the government has to do it, or some person at a high post has to do it, or somebody really official has to do it. But one thing that we don't understand is that the economy of a country is dependent on its citizens. So we are the ones who can make a difference. And today I am going to tell you all 10 steps, really easy steps, not difficult steps, very easy steps that you and I can inculcate in our day-to-day lives. And if today we make a promise to each other that we will inculcate these steps in our day-to-day lives, I promise you that we will see the economy of India growing, and growing really well. So, I know now you all are really curious to know these steps, but remember, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So, step number 1, don't buy gold. To be very honest, I'll tell you some statistics. In this year's May, the first 13 business days, India imported $135 million of gold per day. And where does this all go? I don't even understand. You know what? If you go on and just collect or count, estimate the total cost of gold reserves in every household, it will come up to $1.16 trillion. That is double of our GDP. Our GDP is $1.8 trillion. So now you all think if you go and steal gold from every person's house in India, you are going to be richer than Bill Gates. So what we Indians tend to think is that we pay for gold in Indian rupees, and that is wrong. We do not pay for gold in Indian rupees. Instead, we pay for this gold in US dollars. And where does this US dollars go from? How do we pay it? We pay it from our foreign exchange reserves. And these foreign exchange reserves, they are actually necessary for paying for oil, importation of oil, and other metallic resources. But we Indians tend to use it up for gold. Actually, India is one of the largest, the largest gold importer in the world. And, okay, let us compare it on a global scale. All of us know that China has the largest population. Still, China is lagging 30% behind India in its gold demand. So, I hope I made my point really clear that India imports a lot of gold. But how is that affecting our economy? Why am I telling you all not to buy gold? It's really simple. All of us buy gold, take it, stuff it into our lockers, and never see it again. Then after 2-3 years, when there's some really good occasion, we'll remove it and wear it. But that is not my point. My point is that money should be kept in circulation, and only then can an economy grow. But what I'm trying to say is that reduce whatever you all can, however you all can. And that will actually help the economy of India. And another thing, if you all are really interested in investing in gold, go for gold exchange traded funds. That started in India in 2007, and I don't even know if anybody out here knows this. My father didn't know about that. So, the next thing, pay taxes. Now please don't kill me. I know all of you all pay your taxes. But my point really here is not about you all. Of course, you all should pay your taxes because running away from taxes is illegal, and that's not my point. My point here is that some sections of society are allowed not to pay taxes. They are exempted from paying taxes. Let me give you the example of farmers who don't have to pay tax on the income they get from agriculture. Now, I'm not really saying that farmers should pay taxes. What I'm saying that if you are in that section of society who is exempted from paying taxes and you really can, then you should. And why not? All of us want better roads and better schools, better everything. And if we don't invest in our economy, who will? So that is my point here. The next, ask for bills. Now I know this sounds really stupid because you all might be thinking that how can a person asking for bills, how is that going to help the Indian economy? But actually that does. How many of you all have seen that movie Nayak? Anil Kapoor. Okay. So that is a really cool movie which tells to us the importance of sales tax. So what does the sales tax do? Okay, imagine the situation. You go out, you eat a lot, like me, and then you do not ask for the bill. What happens is that the tax you are charged goes in the hands of the person, but he does not generate a bill. And he can keep that tax. He then doesn't have to give it to the Indian government. And that is black money. So just by asking bills, you can make a difference to the Indian economy. And a vast difference. And this is especially for people in outskirts of the city where they don't really, give us bills, but then there are places where they are charged tax. Now, let me tell you another thing. Whenever you all are charged this tax, how do you all know if the tax you are paying is going in the hands of the right person? I know all of you all are really lazy and you all aren't going to do this, but in case you want to, then you all can check if the tax you are paying actually gets into the hands of the right person. By this site out here, you all can enter the TIN number and the sales tax number which is present on the bill, and you all can check if the tax you are paying is going in the hands of the right person. The fourth step, use less electricity. I know you all already know about this. I know it. So why am I telling you all to do this? Because India is one country which imports electricity. That sounds crazy, right? India imported 5.70 billions of kilowatt of electricity. Actually, in the year 2010, we imported 95 million tons of coal, which didn't even give us 29% of our actual consumption. So if we actually save electricity, this electricity can be available to farmers, to other industries which actually need electricity. Let me give you this really good idea. Let me tell you the story about one of my friends. So he worked in this MNC in Pune itself, Magarpatta branch, and he observed this really sad thing. That MNC had a switch, and if you went on to switch on that switch, all the lights on that floor would then get switched on. What does that mean? That means if even a single person stayed back to complete some of his work for 2 or 3 hours, that person would use up all of the electricity on that one floor. So what did this guy do? He worked out this plan with the MNC, and they went on to save a lot of electricity. What did they do? They put up this system where there is one switch per desk. So if you're done with your work, you switch off that switch and go home, happy that you have not wasted electricity. So my point here is that everybody can make a difference. It's just about you, if you want to take the initiative and do something. Now walk or cycle. Because 66% of India's imports are for oil. We cannot produce more oil. All we can do is use less. And why should we use less? Well, there is this really scary economic term called current account deficit. If we tend to use oil less, it reduces the current account deficit, which then goes on to attract foreign investors. That is why using less oil, less fuel, walking, cycling over shorter distances is going to help a lot. Look at that. In 2010, India imported 3,200,000 barrels of petroleum per day. That is a big number. Now, the next step, step 6, is do not indulge in corrupt practices. Again, I know all of you all know this, but honestly, do not answer to me. Just ask yourselves, have you all never indulged in any corrupt practices? Like, you forget to carry your license, and then one policeman will catch you and be like, "Bhaiya, chhod do na, please. Nahi, 50 rupees le lo, chhod do na." That is what all of us tend to do. And how does this affect us? We tend to think that, okay, fine, it is not going to make any difference, but it makes a big difference, and to us itself. How? According to C.K. Pralahad, who is an economist, he says that the lost opportunity due to corruption is $50 billion per year, which is a lot. The next step, teach underprivileged children. Now that is a rather social cause. So why is that going to help the economy of India? Okay, firstly let me tell you about the current scenario. Today, right now in India, there are 356 million people who are between the ages of 10 to 24 years, which means that we have a lot of young people in India right now. And if these people don't get educated, they are going to be a burden to India. We are never going to be able to grow. So what can we do? I have a really good solution to this. There is an NGO in Pune itself. It is called Doorstep School. Doorstep School is one NGO which provides education to the marginalized sections of society. And you all don't even have to really do anything. Let me give you my example. I have this servant who comes home and she has 2 children. And those 2 children have 4 friends. So these 6 children come home every day to my place from morning 10 to 11 and I teach them. And today they even know better English than me. So all I'm trying to say is that we can do these things at the luxuries of our home itself. All you have to do is take the initiative. By 2021, 64% of our population is going to be between the working age. Now, start a company, create jobs. I know that sounds really stupid, but except earning a little bit of money and a little bit of headache, you will provide jobs to young India. And why am I saying this? By the year 2020, India is going to be the youngest nation in the world. Do you all get that? That means our median age group will be around 29. And that is something we should be proud of because we have the youngest people in the world. And what can we do with these youngest people? We can provide opportunities, provide jobs, and help the economy of India. Now, I started a company with my dad. It isn't a really big company. It is a small firm, a small venture that my dad and I took up. I started my own real estate company. And last year, we employed 16 uneducated people in this company of ours. Now, today, these 16 uneducated people know good English, they can handle the computer really well, and they are better at business than us. So, basically, all of us can do things just if we want to. This step is rather funny, but it is really important. Think before you breathe. And why am I saying this? Well, I told this thing to my grandfather last night, and I'm really happy that he is alive until now. The current population, every day, 49,481 children are born in India. Every single day. That means we add around 28% of our population every day. One man here who started the entire talk today told us that every year we create one Australia. So that is my point. Spread awareness, and if you all can, then adopt children. So this brings us to the last step. Don't let society or religion oppress women. Now again, why is this going to help the economy of India? Well, because this step is rather for women in rural areas. These women can start up many small industries on their own. Small scale industries like stitching, selling handicraft items, fishing, even selling papads. So if these women do not have restrictions on them and are able to unlock their potential to the fullest, this will help the economy of India, and that is what we should try and do. Well, that's it. I guess these steps are really simple, and all of us can take the initiative to inculcate these steps in our day-to-day lives. To end my talk, I would like to quote Lily Tomlin. I said, somebody should do something about that. Then I realized I am somebody. Thank you.